We've been talking about a guy named Sean Williams ever since he broke out of a jail van in Tennessee without the driver or the guard even noticing. He stayed on the run for more than 3 weeks before a 7-Eleven clerk recognized him and called 911, and then a K-9 officer pinned him down. That was the aftermath. Dirty, bloody, arrested. Wheeled into the hospital in cuffs. He is a very bad guy. Apart from the escape and drug charges, he's believed to have drugged and raped more than 50 unconscious women. And he's on trial tonight in federal court, charged with 3 counts of enticing minors into sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of child pornography. It is a lightning-fast trial. Jury selection was this morning. Closings are set for tomorrow. But during that time, 12 men and women in the jury were exposed to horrors on video they will never be able to unsee. They heard testimony from mothers who were allegedly raped alongside their young children, testimony they will never be able to unhear. And when I say young, when I say child, one child was just 9 months old, a rape victim, 9 months. Reporter Jeff Keeling of NewsNation affiliate WJHL was in the courtroom. He's with me live tonight, and I'm also joined by NewsNation legal analyst Jesse Weber. He's an attorney and anchor for the Law and Crime Network. Thank you to you both. Jeff, first of all, huge warning to our audience. We're about to talk about what you saw on those videotapes. And an apology to you that you had to go through this because, in my opinion, you've suffered what the jurors suffered today. This is the kind of thing you can't imagine it exists until you're in a courtroom. Best you can, again with the warning to our audience, can you tell me what you saw?
Sure, and thanks, Ashley. It was really difficult to see. We in the audience were able to see the computers of the prosecutors as the jury was watching this as well. And there were 3 different children who were alleged to have been sexually abused by Sean Williams. And so one by one, the FBI agents went through the evidence that they had found on flash drives. And you're right. One of the children was 9 months old at the time, a little boy, and there were still photos of what had occurred with him. And the body shown, there was no face, but they identified Sean Williams by a tattoo on his finger and a scar. It was a unclothed Sean Williams with his genitals in this child's at this child's mouth, and that was what everybody had to see. They had to see the same thing, basically, in the case of a 7-year-old girl, which was another one of the victims, and then something, equally as disturbing and explicit in the case of the other child.
And to be clear, these are 3 children, ages 7, 4, and 9 months, along with their mothers. And Jeff, if I'm correct, all of them are unconscious, and all of them are being sexually assaulted, either Sean Williams assaulting them with his penis, or Sean Williams assaulting them with his mouth. That's happening to both the children and the mothers. Is that correct?
That is essentially correct, yes. And in the case of the mothers, not in the case of the children, but in the case of at least two of the mothers, it was video, that was shown, and then still images in the other cases. And yeah, you're right. These jurors, I hate that they had to go through that. I hate that I had to go through it. And like you said, the guy was offered a plea yesterday and was going to take it. He had signed it, and they were like 95% of the way through kind of checking off the boxes. And he had said, when asked by the judge, "Are you pleading guilty because you are in fact guilty?" He said yes. And then starts thinking about the possibility in his mind of a mathematical possibility of the 15-year minimum being concurrent, and thinking maybe I could get out in 15 years, which was just a completely illogical thing of him to think, I would imagine, to everybody else in the courtroom. But he got that stuck in his mind, and he just changed his mind at the last minute.
So yesterday, Jesse, I was doing math. They offered him, 50 years, and he's 53 or 55, whatever it was. He would be 100 and some odd years before he'd get out. He'd never get out. There was no parole being offered. And so I thought, well, if I were a betting man, I'd take my shot. What have I got to lose? I'm going to die in prison otherwise. Today, I feel very differently, because if he'd signed the plea deal, Jesse, I would not be doing this broadcast tonight, and this would not be public information, literally what he did to a baby. And I'm going to add another level of filth and disgust because I think it's important for people to know just how bad this alleged offender is. He, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, was smearing feces into the mouths of these children as well. Unconscious children while he's raping them. So these are details that now fellow prisoners will know because the plea deal wasn't taken and the trial is open and public. Did anybody ever explain that to him, Jesse, the danger of people knowing just how vile his alleged behavior is?
I don't think he cares. I mean, I think this is why prosecutors wanted a deal on the table, so they could spare juries, they could spare Jeff, they could spare the world knowing these details. But here's the thing. I look at this a little bit differently than you, Ashleigh. Why? I was trying to wrestle, what could he be gambling on? What kind of defense could he possibly have, thinking he might not be convicted or maybe not convicted across the board? Here's the thing. As grotesque as these allegations are, and as grotesque as the evidence is, and he is certainly going to be convicted of state charges of rape and sexual battery. That is clear. The charges that he's facing right here are enticing a minor. And I wonder if the defense is going to say, even if you accept everything is true, there's no enticing any of these children, persuading any of these children, coercing any of these children into sex acts. Maybe they're going to say, the prosecution, by incapacitating the mothers, that's a form of inducing the children to make this happen. But they might say that even if you take all this as true, it doesn't fit to the elements of this crime, because they really didn't present a case. They didn't call one witness. He didn't take the stand. Yes, they cross-examined the mothers about their drug use and their credibility, but I think that's maybe where they're going, in the hope that he's not convicted, because these children are so young. It's not like you have a teenager where they coerce them into a sex act. How do you coerce a 9-month-old? That's the only thing that might make sense to me. I don't know if Jeff agrees or not.
I know how you coerce them. You drug them.
Sure, but the defense attorney said in his very brief opening statement that, you know, you're going to see a lot of terrible things to the jurors. He said, but you need to focus on the evidence that relates to the elements of the crime. And he said, and frankly, when the elements of the crime are read, when the jury's charged, I'm confident that you won't find that. I'm not so sure, but I think that is the strategy of the defense attorney as well.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of hate, I'll tell you that. They'll see that tattoo and the scar on his hand in the video doing these horrible things to these children and these moms. And I don't think they'll be able to feel a lick of sympathy for him. And then there are all the other charges in another jurisdiction of the actual rapes on the video, not just the owning the videos, it's the rapey part of it. So he's got a whole host of problems. Again, Jeff, God, thank you for doing that. And thank you for, you know, you took one for the rest of the team and having to look at that stuff and then report to us. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.